So excited to have Kevin and Kaz here today. They're the leaders in commercial real estate and in different areas. So we're going to get into that today. I'm going to have them introduce themselves. First, we'll start ladies first. Just a little bit about yourself and what areas you serve and just a little history on it.
My name is Kas. I'm from EXP Commercial. A lot of retail office buildings, some warehouse and some multifamily, mostly west side of Cleveland, also east side as well. A lot of tenant rep, which probably is my passion, is tenant rep right now. So a lot of commercial leases, but that's pretty much what I do.
Awesome. And Kevin, you?
Yeah, so my name's Kevin Moss. I'm with CBRE. My specialty is all retail. I cover, landlords. I do a lot of landlord representation where I represent the property owners. And I also represent tenants. Majority of what I do right now is representing landlords, probably about 70% landlords, 30% tenants.
Okay.
My territory is wide. So I go all the way east to like Conneaut, the PA border, west to, Toledo, Tiffin, Lima, south to Mansfield-ish. I got a couple listings in Columbus. So I cover a pretty significant, pretty wide territory.
Yes.
We have a team, 5 brokers on our team, and my partner Joe Corey and I are sort of running the team and have
I know as well, right? Yes.
some other people working together on the team. So
You definitely are definitely leaders in that space. I would say there's probably only maybe 5 or less. You guys are definitely the leaders in that space. And in your space, which is I feel more of like the smaller businesses, mid-sized scaling, which is fantastic because you have like wide spectrum of different needs you're working with. Landlords, you're working with tenants. How did you guys get started in commercial real estate?
Well, I came from, I'll try to make long story short, but I
Yes.
came from restaurant industry. So I was still one of the owners of Two Bucks. So we had multiple bars. And so through my 30s, we were opening a lot of them. And I was the HR director and one of the owners. And so about 13 years of just doing that. And then when COVID hit, mentally I needed a hobby because the job of HR was pretty hard at that time. So by COVID started in March. By August, I was like, Eric, I need a hobby. I'm going to get licensed in real estate. So now, long story short, it started as a hobby. Now it's like obsession, full-time job,
Right,
and everything I
exactly.
do is real estate. But yeah, first couple years I spent in residential real estate, and then I switched to EXP commercial, and that's where I'm at right now.
That's awesome.
so I've been a broker for going on 11 years.
Wow.
So I, from Northeast Ohio, wanted to stay in Northeast Ohio, which is important because my first job out of school, I was working for a shopping center owner, and I would get sent to South Bend, Indiana,
Wow.
and Plymouth, Indiana, small town, and by by South Bend, and I just got burned out from doing that in those markets, and I wanted to do something in where I'm from, so I wanted to do what I did there, but bring it, if I found a business or I found, retailers expanding, I wanted to do that in my backyard where I'm from and I know the market. So I been broker for 11 years. The long story how I got into it before that, but just a series of internships. I actually got hired from CBRE because I have a family business, and I decided I didn't want to do the family business. My dad's a wholesaler; he's been doing it for a long time, and what CBRE loved about what I did there was I wholesaled silly bands. If you remember the animal shaped bracelets, my job was during the summer freshman year of college was to pack my car, fill it up with boxes, and basically walk into convenience stores, liquor stores, gas stations,
Wow.
and try to sell the silly bands. Basically, my dad said, "Don't come home until you sell them all." I obviously came home. I didn't sell them all, but great. It was called canvassing, where you door knock and
Yes.
meet business owners. That experience right there was what my company where I work now. That's what they loved about my
Yes.
previous experience. So they thought it'd be a natural fit to go into brokerage where you're meeting business owners, cold calling, getting rejected, and making sales.
That's awesome. I know you guys have done deals together. Why don't you walk me through when you had to, if you're describing Kevin's style and if you're describing Kaz's style, what would
Sure.
you say?
I go first.
You go first.
Well, my first deal with Kevin and Joe Curry was obviously it was interesting. So here's Cass from EXP Commercial, small, still getting there, and there's Kevin and Joe, and so they were very patient with me. Their style was being very patient and professional. That's how I would describe it. Because yeah, some things went, sideways on my end, and my client's attorney was on vacation, and so it got very stressful at some point, and I really appreciated their, like I said, very patient style, almost like, okay, let's get this through together,
Exactly.
yeah. So almost like helping me and guiding me.
I think it helped that Joe knew you too from
Yeah.
the $2 days,
Yeah.
but we treat everyone with respect.
Absolutely.
If it's a
Yeah.
mom and pop calling up the street, I'm going to treat them with the same respect as a big corporate chain that's calling.
Yeah.
So that's my strategy. I don't try to be a jerk, and I was new at one point, still relatively new compared
Yeah.
to some of the people who've been doing this much longer than me. So my whole philosophy is just treat people how you want to be treated, and hopefully
Yeah.
it creates a good deal conversation, good deal flow, because you don't want to be a jerk, and
No.
there's no money to be made by doing that. You want to be as transparent as you can be and be as nice as you can be to try to
Yeah.
make the deal work for both you and your client. Because at the end of the day, the job is to transact.
Yeah.
So you're not going to transact if you close the door and somebody wants to lease your space
Right.
or buy your property.
Right. And I also appreciate the fact that you reply to my emails right away. Because there are a lot of brokers, you email them 2 days later, they're like, oh, I was too busy. Well, we're all busy, right? We're all busy. So have that respect for other person and appreciate their time as well. So always like, replying right away, not right away, but within,
Yeah, I'm OCD about getting back to people.
There you go.
If
Yeah.
someone calls me and even if I can't call back, I'll find their contact, or if they call from a landline, I'll find their email, say, hey, I'm so sorry, like I'm on a conference call right now and I got another meeting, but I'll call you tomorrow when I free up.
Yeah.
It's so important to get back to people. Again, the money's made in the follow-up, the follow-up both from proactive follow-up, but also reactive when people call in. You can lose deals by just simply not answering the call. So I try to return every call as fast as I can. I try to do it within no more than 18 to 24 hours. Like if I'm just with a client all day and I get home at 6 o'clock at night or whatever, and it's like, hey, I'm not going to bother them at night. I have a family, young kids. I can't call from certain hours, so I try to tell people in a different form of communication through text or email, like, hey, I'm so sorry, can't get back to you right now, but I will get back to you when I do free up.
Yeah. I mean, all of this makes such a big difference. There's a lot of people out here that they don't get back to people, and your professionalism with both of you is definitely showing. And what you're busy, you're working, and people always want to work with you guys. Maybe walk me through a little bit with the transaction you guys have done. For people that really don't understand commercial real estate, the nuances of it versus residential, maybe walk me through, what went into a transaction maybe that you both have done together, and things that, came up that were surprises to you or things that were interesting.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, like on my end, so residential, it's very quick, and it's very, you come up with a purchase agreement, you fill in the blanks, you send it, and it's all just like within a couple of days, everything is accepted or rejected and whatnot. Commercial is so much different. It takes time, right? It takes a lot of patience, and everything starts with a letter of intent, and then it goes back and forth, and also educating your clients, like, hey, be patient, right? Because it's not just me, right? It's also the listing agent, and it's also the owner, the landlord, and it's also the landlord's attorney, right? There are a lot of
very
people
true.
that are involved in this thing. So I think it's a lot of education and setting the right expectations with our clients. I don't know if that answered your
I know
question.
we've talked about with negotiations, maybe a little bit in that regard. How do you guys negotiate when you guys are so cordial and nice? How do you get down to like a negotiation deal when I mean, obviously you're going to be professional in this sense. Was anything come up that maybe has been an issue? Maybe not necessarily working together, but like in the field. When
Just
you
in
work
general, financing is an issue
Yeah.
right now. SBA financing is taking a long
Tell
time.
me a little bit about that.
So
People don't know
there was
that.
the government shutdown the end of year for 42 days or whatever. That
Right.
slowed things down because SBA runs through the government. There has to be open communication with the potential buyer who's going through SBA,
Right.
the bank, the attorney for that side, and then also from the selling standpoint too. Like understand your goals and goals and your goals on the transaction. So if a buyer is going through that process and it's not going as fast as they can, you have a contract timeline. So in the residential, it's like 30 days. Commercial could be anywhere from 90, 120, 150 or longer, preferably less, but happens where it needs to be longer. SBA requires at least 4 months to get through that process. But the whole, like, there's hurdles that go through, and then you just have to, the goal is to transact at the end of the day. So you have to come to a meeting of the minds. There's incentives that have to get done where you give hard money deposits. You will pay for certain closing costs. There's things that go into that deal that you have to, it's not, the contract's written black and white, but you have to go
Right.
outside the black and white and kind of get creative if there's issues that come up.
Are you educating your clients typically on these loans, or how does that work typically? Are they coming to the table knowing already? How do you educate them with it? How involved
I don't
are
get
you?
involved in the mortgage.
Mhm.
I stick to what I know, and that's transacting, helping property owners find tenants, helping property owners sell their buildings, and helping tenants find spaces to lease.
Right,
So I don't get too involved in the minutia of the financing.
right,
That could get you, because we don't get paid on. We're not mortgage brokers.
right.
So we can go down a big rabbit hole and get way too involved in something we're not even getting. We're going to get compensated on the deal at the end of the day, but there are mortgage brokers who specifically represent borrowers in trying to put loan packages together for their clients. So I try not to get very involved. I'll stay in it from an outside perspective, but I don't even want to pretend to know I know what I'm doing.
Right.
When it comes to putting financing packages together.
Yeah. Most of your clients come to you already prepared for that. They already know, they've already
The
worked with
corporate
someone.
clients, no issue because it's
Yeah,
corporate
100%.
chain.
I
But
know
the
with
franchise, yeah.
Own franchise.
Franchise will go through financing. So they'll usually come, the franchise or so the parent company will often have pre-approved banks that they can finance with, or if they have a relationship already. Very rarely actually do I get asked for banking contacts. So
Wow.
for the most part, they come with relationships they already had.
Interesting.
Aaron
For me, it's the complete opposite. I have to educate my client on,
Right.
I
Yeah.
send them my best, like, favorite SBA lenders and educating them through the process. And on the deal that we actually did together, just remember, like, so my client, he had an existing business, Joe Curry, and your guys' landlord, he requested not just the financials, but also business plan and projections. So, that, like, again, educating the client that, hey, let's slow down. It's not going to happen in a month. We're not going to sign this lease in a month. This might, go on for a couple of months. But so my client had to go back to his accountant and, put all the numbers together, create projections to kind of show their landlord that, hey, he actually can afford this lease and he's going to be in good shape and he knows what he's doing. So that's just part of the puzzle.
And you mentioned the business plan.
Yeah.
When I represent a property owner, that is the first question I ask. If someone calls in, it's a startup. We don't want to put it's not a good situation to put a startup in for both the tenant and the landlord and for anybody. So the first question I ask is, do you have a business plan? Do you have projections? How much? What are you projecting in sales? What is your budget in rent?
Do you have an LLC set up? How about a bank account? Like, do you have those things?
Most of the times.
Yeah.
That's a great pre-qualification too. If they have none of that, you just say, call me when you have it. We'll review with the landlord. Oftentimes people call and they don't even know what they're interested in. I like your space. I'm interested in starting a business. Great. Tell me more about the business. I haven't thought about it yet. So we'll call back when you've thought about it.
Yeah.
That's where the compassion and empathy comes in. It's like, don't be rude and hang up the phone like, hey, not interested, but just educate them.
Yes.
This is what the landlord's looking for. We want to know, first of all, there's restrictions. We use restrictions for the shopping center, or there's exclusives that other tenants have. So we want to just first make sure that we can even do what your business is in this property. And then it's like, we don't want to put you in and then you go out of business after a year because you're not prepared.
Yeah. I just had a client, I was telling Erin that she wants to open a coffee shop. So same situation. Do you have a business plan? Do you have projections? Do you have an LLC set up? This whole thing. And then she really wanted a corner lot, the drive-through, these, nice cities like North Olmsted. I was like, honey, it's going to cost you like about 15 grand a month just to lease, right? The space. So it starts there, like basic questions. And
then you
basic
found her
education.
another location. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's a smaller space. It has a patio. It's on Pearl Road. It's in Strongsville. So the traffic count is there. Exposure is there, but it's smaller. It doesn't have a drive-through. So, but that's okay. Maybe the next lease for second location, or maybe after 3-5 years there, figuring it out, her system, her business, being comfortable with her business. She go and she gets, that corner lot with the drive-through that you
And
can
I think
afford.
the biggest piece that I took away from that is, you want to make sure your client is going to be successful in their business and
Yeah.
not go in there, not get the business and end up leaving. And I
Yeah.
think that's a huge proponent of the way your style,
Yeah,
I'm sure
don't put
yours
them
as
in a
well.
bad
Yeah.
situation where they go out of business in a year, right?
Yeah, then the landlord calls you, you put this bad tenant in, where's the commission
Right.
reimbursement? Well, hey,
Exactly.
sorry,
Yeah.
that's not you signed a lease with hopefully a guarantee,
Uh-huh.
and you have to go after the tenant to get that. So
Yeah.
we have those difficult conversations where it does happen, where the tenants don't do well. What 9 out of 10 startups fail, or
Yeah.
like whatever the
Right.
stat is. Like, that is a very common thing for a local startup to not make it.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit with each other about the market. I would like to hear a little bit on your perspective on what the market is doing right now, and what you foresee coming in the rest of the year.
Well, for me, I do a lot of, again, when it comes to leasing, a lot of health and wellness. And I think we can both agree
The
that's,
trend.
yeah, the
Mhm.
trend, it's booming. I mean, from Pilates, Lagree, facials, Botox, anything med spa, anything that's health and wellness related, that's just growing. So that's what a lot of things that I do. And then from the office side too, I know offices are not very popular still with, buyers, investors, lenders. There are a lot of lenders, they won't finance office spaces. But I still think there is a lot of opportunity, maybe not like downtown, not big office buildings, but suburbs. That's, again, the deal we're
Like
doing
this?
right now. Yeah, like this. Yeah, where there's a lot of value that we provide, right? So that's what Icon is. We provide absolutely everything, even furniture. And I think our clients, tenants, they appreciate it. They just need to bring a computer, plug in, and work. So I think there is a lot of demand, especially again in the areas where I am at Lakewood, Rocky River, Avon, Westlake. That there is still demand for that. So that's what I'm seeing from my end.
We're at an interesting point in the market. There's not a lot of space available right now. If you do leasing, um, the A+ markets, the rents are higher than ever, and there's not as much space. It's as tight as ever. The C and D markets, you can't even give the space away if you just gave it away for free. Like tenants, there's just not tenants there. So we're in an interesting dilemma in the market right now, and the formula is not, the math isn't mathing. It's hard. It's too hard to build new construction. And first of all, there's not a lot of land other than maybe Avon. You go further east, like where Mentor and some other areas where there's greenfield, but there's not a lot of land to build. Like, good luck finding a 2-acre site in Lakewood. You can't find it. So there's a lot of second gen space, and because of that, we're not building new to sort of alleviate or like to create more space options in the market. And because the cost is so expensive, because the COVID raise, the COVID inflation,
Right.
it's hard to build. You have to have really high rents, and that means the tenants have to pay. They have to pay obviously higher rents. And then the tenants have to do much higher volume in sales. But because Cleveland's not a growing market per se, the sale increase is not there proportionate to the rents that they have to hit to pay for the new construction. So we're in a weird math formula right now. I did a lot of Rite Aid disposition work over the past 3 years.
Yes, yeah, we just talked
And
about
that opened up a lot of space, but those, for the most part, got absorbed. So if you're a 15,000 foot retailer, that was 11 to 10,000
Right.
foot, like that was a easy backfill for a lot of these tenants. And then car washes and gas stations. So they were going after these, and it was pretty aggressive. It's sort of cooled down now because most of them have been absorbed.
There are, as you know, in Lake County, we're going to have Uptown Manor. The mall is
Yep.
going to be, changed. Who knows when this is starting? You have some stuff in the pipeline, Painesville. They're redoing that area. There is actually a lot of development that's going to be occurring, especially in downtown Cleveland. But again, that's, down the road, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at rental rates in Avon, I think we just talked about it. I think we're at what, $45-$50 a square foot. I'm like, there is no way for a mom and pop shop restaurant to get in there right now. Not in
They just get
this.
priced out.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's out of control. Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah. I know we spoke a little bit about AI. I'm not sure if you guys are utilizing AI. Has that been a hot topic at all amongst your colleagues?
Everyone talks about
Yeah.
AI. I'm so sick of AI.
Yeah.
So I have a love-hate relationship with AI.
Right.
it's great when you have big data sets and you need to sort of analyze it quickly. I'll use it for that.
Yes.
But real estate is a people business. You can't replace the people side of the business. And I get really annoyed when people send me clearly like drafted AI written emails. I'm like, I'm not going to take this person serious. This is a people business. Please communicate with me as if we're humans.
Yes.
It's again, I could be 5 years from now, I could be getting laughed at for like what I'm saying, but I think AI is a little overblown. Like, yes, it's taken over the world. Yes, data analytics is important, but it's still real estate fundamentally is a people business, and we're not going to be replaced from AI. It's going to just enhance our business, and the brokers who adapt it for certain uses will succeed, whereas the brokers who are stuck in their ways from prior, pre-AI will be left behind. But I'm
What about the AI phone calls that call people up? And would you ever utilize anything?
No, I have an AI email. I have an AI emailer that it's like a tease. It's like a teaser. So it'll be very vague. Like, I have a new space coming to market in this area. What are your thoughts? And it sends a blast to everybody within an X mile radius, within the certain parameters I put in.
So you use it in that capacity, and then once someone actually hits you
Then
back,
I-
then become the relationship building.
Correct. So yeah,
interesting.
I am using AI, but the people who only use AI to communicate, it's like just that. Like, you can't talk, you can't email.
Right, and it's
right.
not even just that. I just had a situation literally this week where we were negotiating a lease. I represent the landlord, and the tenant, instead of hiring an attorney to review the lease, they kept putting this lease through ChatGPT. And you know how with ChatGPT, it just keeps feeding you this like more and more information.
And what you want to hear.
And what you want to hear. And this is what was
Maybe not the
happening. And I
factual.
kept emailing like, please send us an attorney redlined lease agreement. And they just kept feeding us this
Same
ChatGPT
thing.
generated feedback. I was like, okay, this has to end
Yeah.
because we're gonna keep doing this for months.
Wow.
Yeah, same thing where it was like, well, ChatGPT said this. Like, we don't care what ChatGPT says. ChatGPT is not negotiating this lease.
No, ChatGPT is not an attorney.
You see
It's not. Yeah.
clients utilizing it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's
So how are you going to combat that? How did you, just say we just need to
Yes, just stop using ChatGPT. I
put
literally
the
had to
ChatGPT down,
Yeah.
walk away slowly?
I put it in the email. I said, please
Wow.
stop using ChatGPT to negotiate this
my
lease.
goodness.
You like there's
Have you been
just
seeing the same? Most people. A lot
Well,
of people
only
are-
on a couple deals where it's, well, ChatGPT says this. That's what market. Yeah, that's what ChatGPT
Crazy,
says is
yeah.
the market standard. Well, no, hire an attorney and have the human attorney negotiate with our human attorney, and don't try to negotiate this yourself. Otherwise, this deal's just simply not going to happen.
Exactly.
I want to be nice to you, but like, you have to understand the goal is to make the deal.
Yeah.
The way it stands now, the way you're negotiating, the deal's not going to happen. You have to just work with us how it's traditionally done.
Right. But it is a great tool, right? It saves us a lot of time to just put something through ChatGPT, like underwriting something real quick. If you don't have time to dig into all the numbers, just real quick, or even analyzing a lease, or I don't know, putting something through ChatGPT or demographic reports, right? It's something, but it's not going to replace us. It's just a great tool.
And it's funny. I actually think I'm convinced I have a client that is AI. They somehow were able to transact on real estate, and then now they're trying to sell real estate. They don't have a phone number. Every time we try to set up a call, they cancel it. And I'm like, something's off.
Nowadays.
Something, and he's only communicating in. And I'll say exactly what I want to say, and he'll like repeat the words I say. Like, that doesn't seem like there's a human
Something's
mind. It seems like
Yeah.
there's a robot. Something's very odd on this whole transaction.
It's wild.
It's that's crazy.
You're almost gonna have to make sure you have more of these like in-person interactions because now people can utilize that in so many different ways you wouldn't even.
We get offers in chat, not chat. We get an AI. They're clearly written from AI. They're just mass offers.
Yeah.
That's
And
wild.
some sellers probably go for that.
Yeah, they
because-
think they're real.
Yeah.
It's real people.
It's something to definitely think about on a bigger scale
Yeah.
once we get going. Yeah, because I know when I talk to people in the medical space, they've already implemented in, hospitals, and then now they're like, okay, what about all the security of that, right? And how do we handle that? And having whole teams that are just focused on AI. But being that you guys are, obviously with CRE, you're going to be a bigger conglomerate, or you're like, smaller on your own, and you don't have that, right? So you can, I'm sure down the road, you guys will have like a whole team just combating AI. Behind the scenes a little, because I know people that don't get to, actually be in these transactions. Maybe there's you can go through something that was interesting to you, an interesting transaction, or maybe more of like the minutia, like of something specific that someone that on the outside wouldn't know. It would be
So zoning is
Mm.
a major hurdle for a lot of these retailers and restaurants. In Westlake in particular,
okay.
we had a deal that took 3 presidencies. I signed the listing in the Obama administration.
Oh my goodness.
A couple deals died during the Trump administration. Then finally the tenant opened during the Biden administration. So 3. So there's very strict on zoning for drive-throughs. We had a deal with Arby's, fully negotiated, went through the city, ended up getting rejected. Then we had a deal with Dunkin' Donuts, fully negotiated, went through the city.
Wow.
In each of these deals, mind you, is like a year and a half. They go through the due diligence, they go put
Okay.
site plans together, spending a lot of money. Finally, we get Chipotle. Chipotle has a pickup lane. It's not a drive-through. So we were able to sort of bypass the no drive-through because they have a pickup lane. And mind you, this was a former bank branch too. This is on Detroit Road in Westlake.
Okay.
Bank branch had a drive-through / teller window. So, and because we had the acreage by technicality, it should have been permitted. But long story, you see a new Chipotle there. You saw a former bank for years, but you
That's
don't know
right.
what all went down
But
behind
why,
the
a lot of
scenes.
people ask, why has that been sitting there for so long? I know there's in Menor there's a oh gosh, I can't
The
think of the
gas station on the
restaurant.
corner
There's
was,
lots of things that have just been sitting there forever, and you're like, why is that? That makes sense.
yeah, and in Mentor in particular, so 615 in Mentor Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
my client bought that building to put a indoor swim school. And there's a little gas station on the
wow.
corner that's been vacant for maybe 15 years.
Yes, yes.
And
15
maybe even
years.
longer. It used to be a gas station back then.
Wow.
It's the village. So
Oh,
because it's
that
the
makes
village,
sense.
you can't do a gas. It would make all the sense in the world to put a gas station on that corner,
Right.
but because it's the village, you can't do a gas station in that area. So people don't realize that there are buildings that are sitting vacant. A lot of it has to do with zoning. Everyone wants Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, and all these great
Yes.
retailers. There's only 1 or 2 locations that those tenants can go.
So why does it take that many years? Why so many?
So a deal just in general takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So going to the city, you have to, first of all, you have to do all your physical due diligence. You got to do, environmental reports, surveys, geotechnical reports, all these big reports you have to do in order to make your plans. And you take your plans, you go to the city, they meet every 30 days, give or take. Then you go and they say, well, come back, change this, this, and this. Come back 30 days later. Hey,
Right.
come back, fix this, this, and this.
Yes.
Go back another 30 days. So it adds up over time.
Oh my gosh.
And then if they don't have a full staff,
They
then they
need-
say, hey, we'll push
Wait
back to
another
the next
30
meeting.
days.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that's where the
yeah.
disconnect comes in too with property owners, where it's like, you've had my property tied up for too long. I just want this deal done. But there's all this stuff going on behind the scenes. And that's where it kind of ties together. There just needs to be open form of communication,
Right.
explain exactly what's going on, why it's taking so long, and just there has to be fluid communication so the owner is aware and that the tenant doesn't lose, by taking too long because outside of their control, that they don't lose the deal because of things outside that they can't control.
Mm. Interesting. That's something that I think coming from residential real estate, I get a lot of residential real estate referrals. Most of my business, I think, right now. And they think that, I'm going to send a referral and it's going to be closed within 30, 60, 90 days. And here we are, like 2 years later,
2
right?
years
You might
later.
still be working on
Couple
a transaction.
presidential elections
Right,
later.
because there is so much that's involved that
Yeah.
other people don't understand.
Yeah. And then finding the space too takes time.
Yeah,
There
absolutely.
could not be the right space. So you have to hunt and find the right space, wait for the right opportunity to come up. It take a long time.
Yeah.
You don't want to rush and put them in the wrong space. Again,
Right.
bad for everybody.
Yeah.
You want to wait for the right space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my partners and I we're negotiating a deal right now, and it's a school, and right next to the school is a hospital, and we're planning on buying the school. I'm not going to disclose numbers of the city yet, but we're trying to buy this school. But then the hospital told us that they're planning on putting a helicopter pad right there. So imagine how much that affects. Right. So we started with negotiating that much
Wow.
for the school. Now we're somewhere here because
oh my goodness.
it's this helicopter pad is going to affect everything,
Yeah, and the community.
the
too,
community, the
Yeah.
windows, I mean, the structure of the building, everything. Right. So that's just how it kind of starts in commercial.
Little things like that too. Going back to cities, they'll make a traffic signal, they'll take it and put a roundabout in. All those little things require, first of all, time for them to do the studies to see if it's something that they're going to
Right.
perform on. but it impacts deals because you may like the way it's set up now and the access of the property now, but because of new zoning codes and traffic increase, they may say, well, we want a roundabout or we want to take away your curb cut so you can only do a right in, right out.
Mhm.
It's all things that happen behind the scenes that from the naked
Yes.
eye, you have no idea what's going on with these deals. But
Mhm.
if you're in the deal, you obviously are aware and know that any little one small tweak
Yeah.
can totally nuke a deal you've been working on for 2 years.
Mhm.
What relationships in the commercial space have been pretty much like your gold? Like these relationships are important to me in regards to getting leads or that type of thing, where you're, maybe I know you mentioned mortgage
Yeah.
makers, other real estate
Yeah,
agents.
investment sale brokers, the ones that actually sell the net lease, the investment properties.
Mhm.
Got it.
We
Yeah.
don't really play in that space. I may sell one or two a year,
Mhm.
but I don't compete with them. So it's a good ecosystem. We just sold a property this
Perfect.
week
Yeah.
for someone who they don't do leasing. So they
Mhm.
brought me in to help lease for their client,
Mhm.
and then we leased it, and then they're going to sell it. They sold
Right.
it.
Right.
So it's a huge referral. They get their referral. We get a book of business.
Right.
We get
Exactly.
a trophy, not really an actual physical trophy, but we get like a template for a deal we just completed
Yeah.
that will help us win more business.
Mhm.
So investment sale brokers, because we don't really play in the same
In the
space,
same space, but
they
you
feel
benefit
comfortable
each
sending
other.
me business, and then I send them money back for sending me the
Win-win.
clients. It's a
Yeah.
win-win for everybody.
For me, I think it's the attorneys, right? Can't do anything with attorneys, especially when it comes to commercial leasing. I actually remember that deal that we did, and where my client's attorney was on vacation. And after that, I sat down with Joe Curry and I kind of asked for his feedback. And he's like, Cass, don't ever play an attorney. He's like, you'll get sued, in 5-10 years, you're going to get
Oh, yeah.
sued.
Yeah.
Don't ever play an attorney. And it's
Know
stuck
your
with
know
my
your
brain.
role. Yeah.
Know your role,
role.
yeah. So just like we talked about lenders, bankers, so same thing. We're not attorneys. So I actually refuse to work with a client who's a tenant if they don't use an attorney because I don't want to be responsible
Right.
if something happens, right, in 3-5 years.
Mhm.
It's not my responsibility. You had an attorney. The attorney looked at the lease, proofread it, redlined it,
Yes.
negotiated. So
What would make your guys' job easier?
More time in the day.
more time in the day. clone
Yeah.
ourselves.
Oh yeah,
right?
clone yourself.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Definitely.
If I could sleep 4 hours, 5 hours a day, that would be sweet.
Yeah.
Yes.
to get more done.
Kevin wakes up 3 a.m.
Yeah. Can't do that.
Not
Sleeps a
quite.
few-
Almost 4.
Almost 4. Yeah,
3:53.
inches
Mhm.
of 4. What do you absolutely love about commercial real estate?
I think client success stories. When you put a tenant in a place and then you see them open
I know
and
how
they're
happy
thriving.
you are
Oh my
when
god.
yes, when
Yeah,
she used to go to that grand opening.
Yeah, it's I
Yeah.
just love that. That's to me that's everything. Like
Yeah.
the most recent was Paddle Square, and I'll
Yeah.
mention it to you. And they were so happy, and it wasn't easy to find a place for them because they were looking for something more like industrial, high ceilings, bigger space.
Mhm.
But industrial landlords don't really want a startup paddle gym, right? Like they prefer the industrial tenants,
Mhm.
manufacturing tenants, or something like that. So it wasn't easy to find the space, and then negotiations took a long time, and then the build out took a long time. So to see them open and just thriving, that's to me everything.
Love that.
Yeah. Similar idea. I love the fact that we get to know what's going on in our communities.
Yes.
So you're like, oh, that new restaurant's coming. Well, yeah, I
Yes.
kind of know the story behind how that restaurant got there.
Yes.
And I get asked all the time, you should bring this restaurant here. My brother-in-law says, bring Chili's to Mentor all the time. Well, I try. I don't have the right space for them, but they don't want to be here. But anyway, so knowing
that's
that,
funny.
yeah, knowing what's going on, how these deals got put together, and sorry, there's an ambulance.
So sign to wrap up.
So
I'm
sign to
kidding.
wrap up. Yeah, I gotta go. But yeah,
Another
just
deal to do.
exactly. But just knowing what's happening in the communities and
Yeah.
like, seeing the openings and seeing
Yeah.
people, the news articles, and just the helping people achieve their financial goals from the work that we put in. Even if we weren't
Yes.
involved in the
Yes.
deal, it's still nice to see other businesses and new businesses opening.
Mhm.
There's a lot of stories about tenants closing, which is the other side of the story that you're like,
Right.
man, they just put their 401k into that deal and now
Yeah.
they're wrecked. So you got to think about that side too.
100%.
But overall, though, it's just really nice to work with people in our community, and again, building within Cleveland and Northeast, well, not just Cleveland, but Northeast Ohio.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I think this has been a great interview. I think the only thing what would be your advice someone wanting to get into commercial real estate?
Find a mentor. Someone who's going to hold your hand for the first, I would say, 3 years.
Yeah, get on a team.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
get with people who are already doing it. Don't
Yeah,
try
don't try to
don't
jump
try to
into
do it on
it.
your
Yeah.
own.
Yeah, and I think that's again because I work with so many residential agents. They think the transactions are very similar, which they could be if it's a straightforward purchase and sale transaction. With commercial leasing, I always don't even just don't find a mentor, find someone who's going to coach you because you're responsible for your client, right? For your client's success, and it's so easy to mess up if you don't know what you're
Yeah,
doing.
it's not just transactional selling, a home and
Yeah.
okay, and then moving on. It's
Yeah.
this is their livelihood.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's a lot more pressure for sure.
Mhm.
No, this has been great.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.